UFOs, unidentified flying objects, one of the most controversial subjects of all time. As we enter the 21st century, a growing body of evidence suggests that Earth is being visited by advanced non-human life, and that the public is not being told the truth. Many now believe that our own government has covered up the truth about UFOs for over 50 years. Today, new voices are starting to emerge. Voices that until recently have kept silent. These are the voices of those who have worked inside our government and the military.
The intent of destroying those documents, and I charge the Air Force with this now, and the small nucleus within the intelligence community, I charge them with destroying those documents to keep the people who were investigating what happened here at Roswell from becoming public.
Sergeant Clifford Stone served for 22 years in the United States Army. During that time, he claims to have been a part of an elite top-secret unit charged with recovering crashed UFOs and communicating with their occupants. Since his retirement in 1990, Sergeant Stone has amassed one of the largest collections of legitimate government documents suggesting not only that some UFOs may be extraterrestrial craft, but that our government has continuously lied to us.
The reason I'm trying to get information out concerning UFOs and the reality that UFOs do exist and our government knows about it, very simply put, is that government never has the right to lie to the people. Government has a moral obligation to tell the American people the truth and tell them as much as they can. I, being in the military at one time, I have a keen understanding that there are certain things that you have to keep secret, even from your people, or even from your own people, in order to ensure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. When it comes to UFOs, this isn't the case. We are doing a much larger moral wrong by keeping the information classified, as opposed to a moral good to protect us from ourselves. There are many, many people who in everyday walk of life have UFO experiences. Some of these are sometimes no more dramatic than seeing a UFO sailing across the sky, a dish-shaped object, a cigar-shaped object. Yet it has an impact on these people. A lot of these people won't talk because they have a fear of ridicule. Other people have seen UFOs that have landed. They have seen the physical traces left by those UFOs. Other people have had actual interaction with our visitors, the intelligence behind the phenomena itself. Many of these people have suffered the losses of having their families split up simply because people don't believe them. They wind up having psychological problems. They lose their jobs. They become isolated from society. And not through any fault of their own, simply because they had a UFO experience. I feel that government has an obligation to these people to let the world know that they are not alone, that these things do happen, and that we do know about it, and that our government is well aware that these events take place. Government has a moral obligation to tell the truth, what it knows about UFOs. And this is what I hope to accomplish by bringing out documentation and telling my story.
Sergeant Clifford Stone began acquiring government UFO documents at the age of 15 in the mid-1960s. With the resurgence of the Freedom of Information Act in the early 70s, he was able to win the release of material from several agencies, including ones that have denied ever having information about UFOs. According to Sergeant Stone, anybody who knows where to look and how to ask the right questions can eventually prove that our government has maintained a deep involvement with UFOs while keeping it a secret for decades.
I've been gathering U.S. government-related UFO documents for approximately 35 years. Prior to the advent of the Freedom of Information Act 1974, I'd simply write to a government agency asking for information on what they had dealing with UFOs. With most agencies outside of the Air Force, I would get a total denial of any involvement in the UFO field, With the advent of the Freedom of Information Act, I found that it could be a very useful tool if you used it correctly. The way I used it, I'd never just picked one agency to ask for the same information. I'd use what in the field we call the shotgun effect. I'd write to 10, 15 different agencies asking for exactly the same information. I would get some denials that some agencies, for example, the Air Force had no information on this particular incident or event that I was asking for information on. I'd get a document from the FBI saying that they did have information, plus I'd get the information the FBI had. I would then go back, armed now with the documentation from other agencies, to the agencies that stated that they had no information, and I'd confront them with the documentation from other government agencies showing that they did in fact have information. Sometimes I'd get information back from the agency that was in denial, alluding to the fact that other agencies who sent me stuff actually had more material, and armed with that information, I'd go back to them. But it's always more effective if you use the shotgun effect. If you ask several agencies, the more the better, that you know would have information that would be involved. If you ask them, you get a wider response, and you also get ammunition to go into those agencies that initially send you the denial, and you can hit pay dirt by doing it this way. It also helps to know which agencies to go to. It also helps to know what words to use and what regulations and what, should I say, buttons to punch.
Not all documents that look authentic are legitimate. In the field of UFO research, there has been many hoaxes that have made it difficult to establish what the government really knows. Sergeant Stone has taken great pains to weed out phony documents from the real ones.
When we view a document, we make every effort to make sure that we get it from a legitimate government source, the CIA, the NSA, the Air Force, the Defense Intelligence Agency. Once we get it from them, then we know that it is in fact a legitimate document. Also, we look at the markings on the documents. There are clear, precise ways in which a government document is properly classified. The markings on those documents haven't changed very much over the years. They used to have maybe as many as 11, 15 different classifications. At present time, there's only 3 recognized classifications of government documents, that being confidential, secret, and top secret. Of course, you can have other markings identifying those documents as being SCI, Sensitive Compartmented Information under SAP's Special Access Programs. But we do have guidelines, Department of Defense guidelines, and individual service guidelines that actually show us what to be looking for in a properly classified document. We also have guidelines that show us what to look for in those documents that have been legitimately released by the United States government and U.S. government agencies.
Without breaking any laws and without relying upon material from shadowy informants, Sergeant Stone has been able to piece together a hidden history of U.S. government involvement with the UFO subject for more than half a century.
All documents that you will see in this program are government documents. They were all obtained legally. You're not going to find any documents that allege to be classified documents that was snuck out from some military facility or from some deep dark vault. Even if I had access to such document, I would not disclose it until it was properly released. I would fight to get its release. But the important thing to know is that these are government documents. These are documents that have in fact been legally obtained through either the Freedom of Information Act or through the aid and assistance of various members of Congress.